let's see. The stream should have started. Let me grab my link. Let me test that audio again. Need a good audio volume. That's probably good. Excellent. So this will just ensure me nice solid 3 hours of proper work. So now this should put us into any rune can go first, and then we can actually remove the start rune. No, that doesn't. Hold on. This needs to go in the connecting runes. There we go. Okay, so we can now put any spell in these slots. Okay. Yeah, the only thing I need to add now to that is wait, what did this do before? It would have deactivated the start runes too. Oh. Okay, so I need instance activate object no attached spell with spell slot. There we go. It will reactivate the attached spell. So you can see just the first rune in the spell, which will help you keep track of which ones they are. If we put that rune in there, that works. Can you put these in there? We don't want that. We need those to not be in there. When we are going in, if item index data dot rune type develop. Is this supposed to be item data? Item data dot type. This is not equal to item type or rune type. So now modifiers cannot go into the spell slots. I mean, you can make it look like they're in there, but that's irrelevant. Oh, there's one more spot. I should put the link before I forget. At everybody. Okay, so we're going to make this room for the crafting. Let me duplicate the room and then I'll clear out the objects because I want to make sure it's the right size. This is testing. So originally our plan was to have this like roguelike thing where you made spells and you prepared for the combat, and then you would go into the dungeon and use the spells to get new items. But we don't have time for that now. Maybe we'll do it after the jam. But instead, we're just going to have like a system where you can craft runes using spells, using the runes you have, and then you go test them on enemies. And we have sprites and things for those enemies, hopefully. But I do need to build that system so that we would just, you know. Okay, so here's the player. Let me make the enemies a different color. Enemy, my enemy. There's a bunch of entities to kill. That's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna cheat. I don't like doing this normally, but for this sake, we are going to use persistent objects and persistent rooms. This is usually not a good solution, but we are simplifying stuff, and this is the best way to do that. So control is persistent. Magic, not persistent. Items need to be persistent. Okay. So do deactivated instances move through rooms while they're persistent? I guess we'll find out. Okay, so now what we're going to do is, this is going to then do room, go to RM testing. Let's see what happens now. This looks promising. Oh, we need our spell slots to be persistent also, and then actually room crafting needs all of this deleted. Okay. Uh-oh. Oh. We're fine. Dag nabbit. No. It shouldn't matter what order we do them in because they should be persistent. Hold on. Evan's World, peekaboo. Hi, I was researching something, so hold on a second. The GMC forums are quite helpful. Okay. So I learned that deactivated instances, when they're persistent, do not carry through rooms because they actually take one step to activate. So I just need to add an alarm here and that will fix it. It's a little annoying, but that's okay. And also lightweight objects coming eventually in GMS2 will help fix some of that, which is cool too. This is on the control object. Yeah, okay. Add event alarm 0, and then I think we might have a testing ground. I'll add like a UI button later. Go to crafting room. Oh, but this still needs, they still need to, oh wait, that's not right at all. This, wait, hold on, oops. Okay, so this one here deactivates and activates the right things and then goes to the testing room. Oh yeah, this is fine. Yeah, this is good. We're good. We're good. Okay, so now we should be able to go back and forth between the rooms. The objects are still there, and it's important because they store data. These runes are still here, but we can do them in a different room. So let's test this. So we should go to D, takes us here to this room, where we can no longer interact with any of them, except this one, which I need to disable. When we go back, they should be reactivated, but no. Oh, because they don't. Deactivate. I don't like this at all, but I just need a hacky solution, so we're gonna deal with it. Deactivate rooms. Oh, this works. Okay, we're on the right track. And I made both rooms persistent, so it will store the position, and then I'm gonna have a reset button here that will also reset the room. Oh, the problem is if I do that, then our runes will disappear, I think. What happens if I do that? Oh, that's reset game. That's not what we want, but I'll test reset room and see what happens. So now if we go here, dagnabbit. This should cast a spell, but it doesn't. Uh-oh. Oh, no, that's to be expected. Hold on. Oh, my lord. Okay, so if I go here, make this rune. So it does store these informations. I guess one way I can test it is if I don't deactivate them and then see what happens. So I'll just block out this piece of code and see what happens now. So now we should go between rooms, but the runes won't disappear. So we can make a spell here, go there. Okay, it still doesn't work. Okay. That's actually a good sign because it means it probably will work when they're deactivated, which is really important. but the reason they don't is something else that I don't understand. It's an unrelated factor to the code I'm trying to implement. Let me go look, check to see. Is it the player presses? That is not at all right. Delete. Control, press 1. Is the control persistent? Yeah. And it creates these 3 spell slots. Okay, I'm going to transfer this to the player. This won't change anything except avoid that first error that we saw. But I'll keep thinking about what the issue might be. Except we also need to add with. Okay. There's 1. Control 2. Just copying and pasting and adding this line here. And then our third one. I guess I could have probably just copy and pasted the key press digits 3. First one, I made the edits just like I did with the first time I wrote it, because this is not particularly complicated code to make the necessary edits to make it work for each spell. But because I just copy pasted, I should, like, in the long term store them in an array or something so that I can have any number of spell slots, but I just hard coded 3, and that's fine for a game jam. Now we can delete these events because we're done with them. Okay, let's test it again. It's not going to work, but let's test it anyways. Maybe I'll notice something new this time. Okay, well, this time this doesn't crash, so that was what we fixed. And it also doesn't work at all. We should be able to, actually, this is interesting. We can edit the spells in this room too, because they're not deactivated. Okay, what happens if we put the player back into the crafting room? Can we cast the spell still, or did I break something else? Yeah, this doesn't. Wait, now what happens if we switch back? Oh, now that's interesting. If we switch back, the data structures are dead. Okay. Brilliant. What? Yeah, that's brilliant. Not to now. For some reason, YouTube, every single time I click on the stream page, is like, do you want to add this password to your password manager? I guess it's LastPass that's doing this, but dang. So why would the data structures not persist through rooms? That's what confuses me. How does the spell execute actually work? You dare, please freak out. We didn't get that. We're okay. We didn't deactivate them either. Okay, I'm gonna do some research again. Let's see here. Oh. Is it? I think it's possible that if the variable storing the... No, that can't be. That's ridiculous. Do they have... No, that's not right at all. Hold on. That's not useful, is it? Hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, there is a way to test this. Okay, so someone said maybe it has to be a global variable. I do not buy that because that is not consistent with my knowledge of this, but I could be wrong, so let's actually draw text x, y, and then this string will be the string of ds exists my rune ds type grid. One more. Okay. So we should have, every single one should have a grid called my rune. Yeah, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. They're all still there. Okay, so that's fine. That's not the issue. Then what is going on? Let's test if we build the spell here initially, if it works. No. Ugh. What is going on? Yeah, let's just make a bunch of spells. And now it doesn't work, and if I go back, it doesn't work. Let's check the spell slot data and draw. Okay, let's do that. And then instead of the items drawing if they have one, we're going to just draw it specifically. So just the attached rune. So we can see, say, if like the ID changes, which would shock me, but it also shouldn't matter if the ID changes so long as the data is the same. So that's -4. That changes it to, okay, that's like all good. And this, hold on a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, that's all good. Because then 0 would be the inventory grid, which is created earlier. Because they're all ordered in order. Then we can do this, and this, and this, and this. Okay. Nothing changes. Oh my jobbers. Please, so help me with this. Okay, is any of this code something that would change? Modifier target? What could possibly happen where the spell wouldn't happen? Player, is it creating the spell? Oh. Yeah. Okay. I'll do it the right way. I feel dumb now. We're fine. We're fine. Everything works great, actually. I didn't do anything wrong except one tiny thing, which I totally did wrong. No. Excuse me. D. Instance activate all. I stand corrected. Hold on a second. For sure. Okay, this will give us 3 steps. I realized what I might have forgotten to do is somehow object control got deactivated. But the deactivation code is literally completely disabled right now, so that can't be the answer unless there's deactivation code somewhere else that I missed. So let's, well, actually I need to use, go to output. 1, trying to cast the control object exists. Created object magic. Okay. Let's go to D. It did all the same things. Oh! Oh, it's this problem. Ah! Game Maker, why do you do this to me? Okay, I've dealt with this problem before. The issue is that when persistent objects change rooms, they are not assigned an actual layer. They're just given their own unique layer at that particular depth. So I need to manually assign everything the correct layer when the room starts. And it, like, the documentation says that if there's a layer with the same depth, it will be assigned to that layer, but it's wrong. It's a lie. It doesn't work that way. This layer variable doesn't work. However, I'm not going to bother with assigning layers. I'm just going to manually define layers. Yeah. None of these are object player, right? Okay. Okay, this will actually fix everything. Seriously, I'm annoyed by this. Game Maker, okay, you do this. Drawing info on item. This is fine. Okay. Now we can actually, what we can do is now we can reactivate this line and see if the system works like it should have from the beginning. It will, I promise. I didn't break it. Now to test our amazing magic spell. Oops. Ha! Ha ha! Ah, boy, howdy. If at first it doesn't work, keep coding until you don't know why it's fixed and working. Well, this time I know why it's fixed, because the stupid layer problem. I don't know why the problem exists, but I've had to deal with it on my main project before, so it is something I've solved before. Although in this case, I kind of hacked the solution. I hate how they did layers in GMS2. I mean, there's certainly something new to learn, and it makes depth a little harder to handle, but in the long run, especially for this particular game at least, and many others, it's a much smoother system to try to use. I love doing level design with layers way more, because like before I'd have to do like it was weird if I wanted to build levels, and now it's super smooth process. And I have a depth system that I hand coded that handles depth per layer. So if I want something to be on like a different vertical axis, I just move it to a higher layer and it works. And it's so brilliant, which would not be possible in GameMaker 1. I'd have to like do offsets by like room height depth. If I wanted something like that, it wouldn't be, yeah. So it is a little more annoying to work with. There are some bugs too, like this one here where like if you change rooms with a persistent object, it doesn't keep the same layer even if the layer is literally named the exact same thing. But that's an easy thing to fix if you remember it happens. So that's not a big deal, but it should be handled somehow differently. I don't know how, but. And then stuff with like the same sort of thing applies to the camera system. It's a little more versatile, it's a little more confusing. So I mean, you're taking some trade-offs for that, I guess. All right, but now we have this system where we can craft a spell in one room and then get rid of all the runes except for the spell holding runes. So we can go like this. And then we can go to this room. We can battle with our spells. We can't move these ones around. This one we can still move around, which is interesting. I guess we can move it to a different slot or take it out. This is weird. Yeah, well, that's an easy fix though. So let's change the change this to a variable that makes more sense. There we go. So now it's telling us whether we're crafting or not, and then I can use that variable to only allow me to move the runes around when we are crafting. Step if crafting. There we go. Ooh, this is some healthy code. Connect to the other rune. This must be old. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Let's see here. So this should now let us build a spell here. Oop, that's not going to be healthy. That will blow up our player object. We can go here. We can't interact with this. We go back. We can interact with it. Now that's actually interesting. We should probably fix that. Mouse hovering should be false when we're not crafting. There we go. Is this like the menu the player can open to do spells? Yeah, basically what we're working on. I hacked it a lot. Like, normally I'd have this in a data format where you'd build it and then you'd save it as like a spell object that you could then use in your inventory or something like that. But basically what this does is we have this room where the runes are, and you can move them around. And then when you go to combat, you just press the button right now, and it just disables all of these. So the runes are still there, and the system is literally working exactly the same, except you can't interact with them. And then you have a player and entities. So just to separate the two processes. We're simplifying the game a lot. Like before, we wanted to have like a roguelike dungeon kind of thing. But now we're just going to have like a kind of a testing bed, so you can go back and forth. You can make your spells, and you can go test them on the entities, which is much less interesting as a game, but I think it shows off the concept well, so people can still enjoy crafting unique spells, as long as I spend some time tomorrow and the next day, hopefully, adding a bunch of runes. Yeah. So, let's see. I will add a button tonight, because that's super easy. That will switch, and then a button to reset this room. Actually, let me do control player. Oops. Restart room. Room restart. Let's see what happens if I do this. Okay, so that's our spell. If we restart it. Excuse me? I'm puzzled. Because room restart doesn't do anything? Apparently not. Nice. Our spells unlocked by finding spell books, or you're going to have the place to renewable ingredients to do the spells. So originally our plan was to find runes as items. You'd collect them in your inventory. But in this case, we don't have time to do that. So you're just going to have a bunch to start with, and you can do whatever you want. But the plan in the long term was originally to have you collect runes, and then you'd have limited numbers of runes that you could use on a particular spell. And then, depending on how many runes you used, it would make, like, if you used more runes, the cooldown would be longer. So then that would be an incentive to, like, carefully decide how you wanted to use your spells. And then you'd have, like, some number of spells that you'd build out of the runes you had to go into the dungeon with. You know, but we don't have time for that, sadly. Okay, room restart doesn't do anything? Question mark? Restart room? Yeah. I keep researching stuff today. I don't normally need to look up stuff this much, but I'm very unfamiliar territory. Game Maker. Okay, so you can't restart a persistent room. So what we do is room persistent equals false. Persistent equals true. This isn't going to work because I'm almost certain it's going to move all of the runes back out. Oh. Evan, the clarification here is I'm actually not working on the Last Librarian. This is a different game. This is the Game Jam game I'm working on right now. It would definitely be overpowered to have the player just start with the spells. In the Last Librarian, you would definitely collect the spells as spell books as you went. I'm just using this as a different game for a Game Jam. There's links in the description if you want to see what we're doing. Yeah, that would be weird, especially in the context of like a large term project I've been working on for like a year and a half. I can see without the context that would be confusing. Okay. Wait. Nope, this doesn't work either. I'm just gonna have this one button that just restarts the game quickly, because I can't figure this out right now. Restart. Okay, but this should not be R. You know what, I'm gonna do buttons later, but for now it's just gonna be R. Do you do the London's Dare 2? I have not done a London Dare. I usually just do small jams because I don't like super competitive, but someday I'll almost certainly do that because I'm gonna be a game designer and I should try it out. But right now we're just doing a casual 2-week jam held by some community members. Okay, so now we have the full system. There's a couple like quality of life things that I would like to do, but I'll do those later when I'm not streaming because I can do that tonight and they won't take much brain power. I need to do the hard stuff right away so that I can get that done. So now, because our purpose now is just to have cool spells that you can craft to test them out on enemies, which will have more full implementation of like enemies and AI probably, because that doesn't take too much if you do really basic stuff, and we have a tile set and stuff, we just haven't put the art in yet. I think it's really important that we make more runes. We need some runes, and we can't just like, you know, I think it's important to have a lot of runes. The more, like, every single rune we add makes it more fun. Especially since you can do compatible element types. Also, it occurs to me that maybe we should okay, so the first I'm going to add elemental rune modifiers for each rune. This is ice, which is over here. Okay, ice. And I'm just going to remove the arcane one. Fire. This one is fire, earth, dark, light. Do I use black? I guess light makes, there we go, light. So yeah, we need lots of runes. These ones are super easy. These will take me like 5 minutes to add all in, but we need to initialize them. We have, I'm not going to do that. Modifier element. Instead, we're going to take that one out. Instead, we have modifier fire, modifier earth, modifier dark, modifier light, and modifier ice. These ones are just the elemental boosts, 50% boost to any elemental type, which serves two purposes. You can just make a spell stronger, like a fireball spell with a fire elemental modifier is going to do more damage, or you can use it to boost a weak element to allow you to combine two elements that would normally have negative like effects. Like if you try to put an ice in a fire spell, the ice part of it would be really powerful and the fire part would be normal and weak probably, but you could add a fire elemental to that to make the fire and the ice coexist instead. So I'm going to copy paste this because it's going to be the same. 5 earth, dark, light, ice, earth, dark, light, ice, Oh, what the? Don't do that to me. Dark. Light. Ice. Okay, now we have to do that one more time with our modifiers. Element fire. Dark. Earth. Let me move that up. Dark, light, and ice. And now we need to fix all of these too. So this one is going to be, which one is this? Dark. I love this inventory system because, and it's the one I use in every single project, and I have a tutorial on it too, because it's so easy to add an item. I just added 4 items. Now that I'm so comfortable with the system, I just added 4 items. I will guarantee you there's no errors. Yep, here they are. They all work. Oh, yeah, yep. I did it perfectly. And I removed an item too without any errors. And so now we have all these elemental rune modifier types. Let's see. So now what we should do is I want 3 runes of each element. That's my target goal by the end of the jam. And I think we need to start the player with multiple of the first 4 as well. Maybe 2 of each or something. And I'm actually going to right now move these to like over here instead of overlapping with the spell slots. Where is that? Oh, that's in the control, create. What is the 32, 24, and then this should be like 48. $20, 48. Let's just do 8. 8 times 20 plus 48 equals 208. 208. And then x equals 48. 16 plus 4. Okay, so now we should have rows of 8, and they should line up more roughly in the center of the spell. Oh, that's not right at all. Let's do like 4 and then put them in this side here. Rows of 4. So what would be? Four would be 48 plus 20 times 4, so 128. Oh, except it's not 48, it's something else. So actually, let's just add a x count equals 0. Okay, that will fix that part. Then the starting corner will be actually room width minus minus 128. And we can do that again. Room width minus 128. And the YY, instead of 24, we need to start with like 8. Let's see if I did this right. Ha, no, not quite. Almost. Instead of minus 128, I need minus like... Let me do this math, actually. 4 times 20 minus plus 8. 88. Not 128, 88. Okay. Oh, that won't fix it at all. I need to edit all of them, not just the ones I felt like editing. And let's actually just, what happens if I make it minus 80? Because that didn't look right either. 80. This UI stuff, putting stuff in the right position, that's one of the things I'm always super slow at. Alright. Alright, so we have a much nicer UI now. My initial room, let's go to our crafting, does not need this. Our testing should move over just 1-2 spaces or so. Alright, so maybe anybody watching has ideas for runes, but let's get to implementing a couple of those. We need earth runes, we need fire, well, we need some of everything because I kind of want to have 3 of each so that we can have lots of variety. And hold on, I'm gonna get something to drink. Do I have water? Nope, I'm out of water. Staying hydrated is half the battle. Yes, there's streamers that have stay hydrated bots. They just tell you, make sure you drink something. Alright, so now we have our spells lined up. We don't have very many ice spells. I definitely want something with like ice shards or something. Ice sickles. Yes, definitely. Like the little, you know, the pointy things made out of ice. We need a spell that does that. Okay, so here's my idea. This will be different than other ones, and that's why I like it. It's kind of like an area effect, except it makes multiple projectiles, and then it shoots them within a cluster around the target location, and they fire out in random directions. So you can control where they fire from, but you can't control which direction they fire, so you would want to aim in the middle of a bunch of enemies. And that can still hit you, because all these spells, by the way, can affect the player or the enemies with the same entity. Which is nice, because if you code it wrong, if you make their spell wrong, then what happens is you literally just blow yourself up, basically. Which I think is a really fun thing. Okay, so let's make our little icicles. I think if we have time, I'll ask our artist to, you know, that's fine, to make sprites for all the runes, but on the other hand, there's a lot of runes, so there's icicles. Let's go, ice, whoa, there should be a space here. Ice runes, impact runes, ice, shards. And this is rune type. This is a normal rune. Also, I realized I've been sitting here with my earbuds this whole time, but there's no audio, so I don't know why I did that. Let's do runes. I hope you can't like the music that people are now playing a few spaces away are not too loud. Okay, so rune ice shard. Is it shard or what? Shards. Okay. This is not an empty rune. I don't know why ice freeze room. These are not well organized. It's okay. Okay, so ice. What are they doing over there? Oh my gosh. There's like a heavy metal concert going on within audible distance. I hope it's just a car that's parked over there. It's probably a car that's parked. There's no duration for this, just range. Damage will be elemental. Is this supposed to be a value? That's nerve-wracking because it means some of them aren't. Be right back. Okay, cool. Magic range value our shards range. We can put this into our spell values. Freezing. And this should be like larger. I think the range. No, it should be density. That's what I need. Density. And we can make these affected by speed also, which is totally useless, but it would be worthwhile. Let's make the default speed 8 for now. This is easy to fix, obviously, or change, obviously. Range? That's not what I want. Okay, we need a damage value. And this, I think I'm going to do is the total damage. Oh, okay, here's how we can do it. We can do the total damage and then divide that among the number of shards. So then if you increase the number of shards, you don't increase your total damage, but you can hit more enemies with it. So is that range or some other attribute, the number of shards? Alright, here's what I'll do. For now, I'm going to just code it that way with a constant value that I set. We can do that anyways. Just the same, except there will not be a modifier unless I think of an idea, or there's another one, ice, shards, and number. And let's make it 8 by default, and then we can, like, 50% is 12 or something. So then if we come up with another spell that we're working on later, a rune that would be benefited by a increased number rune, then we can add that modifier rune easily. Okay, man, I was really thirsty. I should have gotten something to drink sooner. Okay. Ice shards damage. How much does the fire damage do? Okay, I'm just going to leave them all the same for now. Like, light does the same damage. Well, it doesn't. It does 15, but it has a larger range. And this is going to be divided by 8, so I think this is fair. Damage, speed, and number. Hold on, I'm going to copy these to our ice shards one. There is no range. Magic range. There is no range. Oops. Insert. Duration, nope. Damage, far. Damage, we'll start with that, equals total element ice times value rune ice, no, ice shard damage. What? Ice shards damage. Okay. Here, we can do this one. Fear not, for I have returned with my caffeinated bean potion of respiration. Indeed. Sometimes a potion of desperation, too. I had some such caffeinated bean potion this morning as well. This must always be 1. Actually, we had quite an adventure last night. There was a fire a few blocks away, So then the power went out because of power lines breaking. So they evacuated our entire dorm. And then all the dorms went back at like 1 in the morning, except my dorm where the power didn't come back on. So we didn't get to go back to bed till 2:30 in the morning. It was, yeah, so I needed that caffeinated bean potion of respiration. Shards number. Magic number. Ooh, it's a magic number. This must always be number. Var number equals magic number. However, it's going to be multiplied then by value ice shards number. Okay. Value ice shards number. Okay, so now we can do. We actually don't need this at all. This is. Hopefully there won't be another accident for this night for you. Thank you. I hope not as well. Seems unlikely. It feels like a medium-sized inner-city fire is not something that happens that often. Apparently 4 or 5 buildings burned down. None of them were on campus, but they were like literally across the street, so it was a eventful night. Cast launching ice shards. I don't know if this needs particles. These particles are notes for the one of the people working on this project to add particles here. If the art looks good in this game, if you see art that looks good, it was not me. It was someone else. The wonderful Julien. Okay, hold on. The wonder of for loops. Basically the thing that makes coding possible. We need to do instance create layer. Let's do this efficiently. Length direction X, and this is going to be it's going to be direction of I random 359. That's right. And this is going to be the same for YY. Oh wait, but this has to be the same? Wait. Yeah, that won't work. We need length and direction as well. Because we need the same value for both of these for that to make any sense, and then we can convert them into coordinates. A lot of this is just to improve readability. I could compress this all into 3 lines if I wanted, but There we go. And now we can create this. Click on the right line, thank you. XY, nope, XXYY, layer, obj, ice, shard. Now we have to make our ice shard object. And a sprite for it. Create sprite. And then we can do this. Perfect. Auto trim. And then give me a middle center. There we go. One more. Oops. Okay, now and then with inst, we need to set just a couple of variables. Var damage. Nope. Divided by number. And let's floor that. Round. Okay, damage. Speed equals speed. I think. Oh, and then var direction equals direction. And then we can code our ice shards. I'm getting a little nervous now because I just put a lot of code all at once, but I think it will work. Entities. I don't have my step direction scripts. I made a bunch of scripts to make this part easier, but we'll just say x plus equals length direction x. And actually I just remembered var speed, var direction. And we can do the same thing for y. Okay, and then if place we can do the same thing that we did for fire. Rune, fire. Nope. This one, here we go. This one here. Step. And this is element type ice. And then actually I remembered, I realized I forgot one more thing over here. This should be x plus and y plus. Oh no. Oh no, my style is changing because of computer science class. Don't do this to me. No, these is usually plus, right? In computer science, I'm supposed to put spaces between every single digit, but that's not what I did for a long time, and now yeah. I have two conflicting styles that I use depending on what I'm doing. Like this too. Let me hold on. Fire damage. Okay, this says times. This is not my code. I usually put spaces. But like here, divided by times. Actually, it looks like most of them I did do times with spaces if it's just two things. Okay, maybe we're the same. At any rate, I'll skip the existential crisis. It doesn't matter as long as you can read it. Let's test this. No, I haven't added the spell. Don't forget every step. Oh, no, I did. Computer science forces you to have a certain style. What hearsay? It's not that it forces me to have a certain style. Well, it kind of does. My professor doesn't force me to have a certain style. I can use whatever style as long as it's readable. The problem is that the textbook uses a specific style, so I'm learning with seeing the same code the same way every time. But also when you do like the automatic like practice problems, it expects you to write exactly like word for word what it wants you to do, so you have to use that style. But on my assignments, I usually use the style I'm more familiar with, and the professor doesn't care. But we need to test this one, right? Okay. Line 41, rune ice shards. Okay. With I'm so used to typing int, another thing that left over from C++ classes. There's some things I'm actually having a hard time typing now because, like, what was it? Like, oh, like whenever I'm trying to type the word count, which I use as a count variable, I often end up typing cout instead, which is a C++ function that we use a lot in class. So, yeah, there's all sorts of. Oh wait, what am I doing? I don't want the spell. I want the spell. There we go. Oh, that was interesting. Not quite right. Oh. Step. Alright, so that will fix that issue, and then we actually need one more thing, which is when we create them in the ice shard spell, we need to do image angle equals our direction, so that they are facing the right way. Okay, I'm pretty sure this spell will work now. I'm almost certain. Okay, let's go test it. Pressed it. Test it. Pressed it. Oh, that was right or wrong? I can't tell. This is not a very damaging spell. But if you put it right on them, it does more damage. But I'm wondering if I should give it more damage to make up for the fact that. Oh, I probably should, because see, the thing about the fire and the lightning is that the damage is the same no matter what. Like, it does the same amount of damage to everything within the area of effect. Whereas this one is doing the same amount of damage total, which means it's actually like 1/8 as powerful as a fireball. So let's make the damage like maybe 3 times as large. I like it being divided over the count anyways, though. I think that's good. Let's make this 96. Okay, now it's like an actually useful spell, because you can see it does significantly more damage. And if we had a count modifier, this would be more too. Okay, I like this one. I think the speed needs to be a little higher. Let's make it 12. Okay, but now let's test the modifiers. So speed modifier should work. And elemental modifier should work. We don't have a number, so it doesn't matter. So let's do this. Okay, so here's shards. Pew. Okay, now let's go back and put the speed on that. Pew. Okay, definitely faster. And then let's put ice elemental and see if it does more, like a lot more damage. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'm pretty sure that's more. I mean, I've tested this code a lot. I'm sure this is fine. Just like to double check every modifier it should work with. We could also like freeze them. Look at that, they're frozen. And actually, the bonus of that is it actually makes the whole spell a little more powerful because you're mixing additional ice. So it's hard to tell, but you do probably 5 or 10% more damage if you have an additional ice rune there, just because of how it averages out the ice power. Okay, so we have an ice shard spell now. Hooray! All right, let's look at what spells. Well, I keep saying spell. Spell is the code, like the script written by all of the runes. These are individual runes. So I made one more rune. That took me like half an hour, 40 minutes. That's a fairly complicated one. Let's see, what else should we do? We need one more earth one. I want to do the 3 that we have only one of first, and then we can add another one if we have good ideas. So we need an earth one. This is the growth earth rune. This is the vortex dark rune, and this is the shock vortex. This is a fun one. I think the vortex is actually my favorite, and specifically in combination with the timer rune, you can do this spell, which is a really fun one. You connect it to the vortex, and then you do the delay, and then you do a fireball. And then if we attach modifier runes, I guess dark elemental modifier, and then range, and then duration on that one, and then that's irrelevant. We can go and cast this one, and what it does is it sucks them in and then blows them up. I think I need the delay to be longer though. I want to make the delay a little bit larger so that I can, delay rune will help. So let's go and make this one duration time delay. Let's make it 3 seconds. So yeah, that's my favorite spell, and it will probably be forever now. But it's this one where you go rune, fire, explosion. Does the dark elemental modifier have any effect on it? It probably doesn't, to be honest. Range, but I should check that. I'm curious. Range, fire. Now, if I could just up the range on the fire elemental also, then I would do that, and then it would fix everything, except it wouldn't help as much. But D. Let me put the duration. There we go. Yeah, because then you can like do this thing where you suck them in and blow them up afterwards. Anyways, Oh, we were gonna have a life leech spell. We could use the growth one, but like reverse it so it heals the person who cast it. I am discussing things with my teammates. For so we have life leech. The earth one, we could have like spikes or something. Hold on, where's I have a little whiteboard here. Life leech. I'm gonna write Earth Spire. We can't really do any wind spells, which is sad, but that's okay. I'm gonna write shield spells, but I don't think it matters because we don't have enemies that attack, and we won't have enemies that attack. So, but those will definitely be added if we keep working on the project. Other types of lightning, light paralyze. I feel like when we already have freeze, it's less relevant. Maybe a laser beam, like a one-shot beam that does damage between the caster and its landing point. I like that. That's different. Oh, hold on. Julien had a bunch of things he wrote on the list. Let me see. A lot of them are kind of outdated at this point because the system ended up being different than we expected, but let me check that, and then we can look at the design document and see if any of that is useful. And also close a bunch of these tabs because I don't need them anymore. Okay, so these are ones we've already done. Earth, darkness, DOT, like a collecting thing. A missile. That doesn't really matter because we don't have obstacles, but that's something else that would be added in a more advanced version, but not this version, I don't think. Missiles aren't very useful yet. Shape runes. Beam Nova. Sentry. Traps would be cool, but we don't have AI, so let me make sure we don't forget that. Traps. Actually, let's add a let's actually do this. We definitely need life leech because that's just classic. And then this is the one thing I want to add, condition entity. And that would, what that would do is it would activate when the spell is colliding with an entity. So what you do is you use projectile, and then you put condition entity, and it would stand still, orbiting in that place until an entity ran into it, and then it would activate. And that makes it a trap spell. Let's see, what else do we have here? These are some other things. Oh, that's basically what this one is. Well, not quite, but undeath would help. Forget technical words. Pierce. Elemental runes. Leech curse, paralyzed smite. Summon. Okay, we don't really have any other ideas left here. Most of these apply to a system that we did not end up using because it's too complicated. Let's do condition entity next because I like that one. Also, because conditional runes are the hardest type to program. I feel like it right now. Gotta do the hard ones first. Conditions. Let's use this one as a template. Condition entity. Proceed once the magic has encountered another entity. Oh, well, this won't work because it will always encounter the player entity immediately if you combine it the way I want with a projectile rune. Oh, and if we have entities that move around, missile seeking actually does make sense. What it does is it seeks the nearest entity. Let's do missile also. Another interesting thing about this magic system is you end up with some spells that can be coded that don't necessarily make that much sense. Actually, I'll give an example of that. But it does make sense. It's just kind of odd that a spell is capable of doing this. For example, let's say we have this spell. We're going to make a, well, hold on, do this right. Condition location, fire burst. And then what we do is we target self. And then we have a delay. Well, I would need another to condition location. And we heal. So I can, well, first of all, we can do this. It damages it and then comes back and heals the player. Which is sort of crazy. but also sort of awesome. Like, what the heck? Why would you be able to do that? But it's a thing, right? You know, it makes sense based on how the logic does work. It's just not something that we typically expect. So let's do the vortex so it's more obvious. 1, cast a spell, come back, place a vortex where the player stands. So yeah, that's a fun deal. I feel like an interesting trait would be if iced enemies, first of all, they're more susceptible to vortexes, but if iced enemies moved more quickly into the center of the vortex. Is ice and dark a compatible type? Ice. Yes, they're compatible types. Okay, that's good. Ice and darkness are compatible types. So you could make a vortex spell that froze enemies and then sucked them into the vortex and then like blasted them with shards or something. All right, here, let's get our condition entity. Arcane default. If place meeting XY OBG entity. Okay. So this is a very simple code. We're going to need to make it way more complicated to solve the issue that I predict is going to happen. But I want to test this first to make sure that I'm correct about that issue. And I know how it should behave. So we can do condition entity. We do it after time. Condition entity. Condition entity. And actually, this is a really important rune to have because right now, everything you do is always projectile and then at target. But now we'll have something else that you could attach to that would have different behaviors. And if we added the form missile, we would be able to do that even better. Would a duration rune still do what it does? So I removed duration runes, but I don't think that I actually disabled the functionality of a duration rune, so I could make one if I wanted. Code, condition entity. Yeah, I think that I could do that. Okay, so hold on. We need to add the conditional entity rune. I don't quite know what that will look like. Hold on. Okay, so I have a solution. I think that was weird looking. For how we could, if we wanted. This is not right. Hold on. Circle, please. Thank you. Make. Gosh, what was I was going to make? Oh, the missile rune. Condition entity. That's a weird. That looks too much like on point. Actually, I like that so much better than the other on point that I'm going to just, yeah, Just replace it. Meet entity. I guess we can make it look like a head. So that's not, yeah, I'm not gonna draw that. What does it mean, entity? Meet entity. Target self, entity. Entity. Ooh, I'll use a hand. That will represent entity. Excellent. Now to draw a hand. This is fine. The runes don't make sense, but hopefully the one of our artists will be able to get around to making them better. But we'll see if we have time. Okay, that's entity. And yeah, I figured out how to do the missile one, and I'm kind of excited about this actually. This will make so much more variety among our spells. Okay, so here that is not right. Target self. Oh, this should be like that. There we go. After delay, at entity. So we're gonna make a projectile, and then for now, I'm gonna insert the after delay rune, and then the at entity rune. And then we can do the speed modifier to that to make it a little faster, and then we can do fire. Okay. So this is going to be interesting. Okay, now I should be able to run into it. Yes! That's fun! Okay, now here's the problem. I've navigated this using a workaround, but you can see if I do it like this, where it should like projectile and then go to the entity, it will just blow me up immediately, because as soon as it's created, it will encounter the entity of the player. So what I need it to do is determine the caster, exclude the caster from the check unless at some point it no longer sees that it is interacting with the caster, because I want the player to still be able to run into its own traps if they do it this way. But we can do we can do this, and we'll use the delay for now. At entity, we should be able to see that it will, here in this case, shock the first entity that it runs into. So let's go like this. Nope. I think it's because the delay isn't small enough. Oh boy. Okay. This is fun. Okay, but we need this code. Okay, so this argument 0 initial check-in. Start inst. So the starting inst will say right at the beginning, hey man, this instance here is if there's an instance place with that. It's the one you're visually colliding with. Bad. If not place meeting, start inst. If not instance exists, start inst, or instance place xy start inst is not equal. This is so convoluted. I swear, I hope it works. This is super convoluted. But let's see. Projectile instance fire. Nope, it doesn't work. Wait, does it? One of them escaped. Okay. Yeah, no, this is not right. Let's start with this. Can detonate equals false. And then we say caster equals obj player. And now in the future we'll need to change this. Fix me after jam. to do something else, because I think I need a way to handle the caster, but I'm not going to worry about that yet. This is redonkulous. This is redonkulous. I don't know why I thought that solution was going to work. Okay. If can detonate. Okay. Now, if not place meeting x, y, caster can detonate. Detonate equals true. Okay, we'll do it that way. This is much smoother code, much more elegant. And it's gonna work, I promise. Yeah, it works. It works. I was so right. Okay, actually, hold on. Okay. We're good. We're good. So now we have this one. And why don't we add our seeking one also? I'm tired. I need to go to bed early, but I need to write an essay. Parker, coffee didn't happen today. Coffee just did not happen today. Okay, next we'll do. My brain is wavering. Okay, considering everything that happened last night, I'm not going to try to force myself to work through my exhaustion at the moment. So that's going to be it for the stream. Thanks for hanging out, Evan. I think you're the only one through most of it, but I really appreciate it. See you some other time. I'll do more tonight, but I need to do something else for a little bit, so.
Where are you coming from with your Gatorade and Tide Pod? Which one you gotta drink first?
Yeah.